So this week for Chapter 10, what I learned was that primary coasts are formed by non-marine means, which include volcanic activity, faulting, land erosion, river, glacier, and wind deposition, whereas secondary coasts are changed by the means of the ocean, which includes ocean erosion, deposition by tides, currents, and waves, as well as marine plants and animals. I also learned that barrier islands, which are created by the deposition of eroded material, help to protect the inner coastal regions from storms. I also learned that 40% of the continental shoreline of the United States is actually losing more sediment than it gains. This is mainly because of human intervention. A few things that I found interesting this week are that coastal reef coasts are not the only coasts built by marine organisms. Actually, mangrove coasts and marshgrass coasts are also built by marine organisms. I did find that interesting because usually when I think of coasts being built by marine organisms, I think of like the Great Barrier Reef, which is a coastal reef. I also thought it was interesting that beaches are described by their shape, color, size, and the composition of the beach material, meaning what kind of sediments make up the beach. It was also interesting to me that estuaries are actually diluted with fresh water, and they're partially isolated areas of the ocean where the salinity of the water is the same no matter what depth you're testing. Also, the length of time required for an estuary to exchange its water is known as its flushing time. I thought that was kind of an interesting name. Some things that I would like to know more about include the equilibrium of beaches and how the removal and supply of material is self-regulated by the beach itself. I'd also like to know more about how human interference increases the erosion of sediment on the beaches. And the last thing I would like to know more about is how breakwaters work as far as protecting the harbors from the waves. So my 3 questions for this week include, number 1, how do barrier islands protect the continental coastline from storms? Number 2, why is the circulation of estuaries measured by current meters, which are very expensive? Why wouldn't a cheaper alternative like the one mentioned in the text be used more often, since, there are a lot of estuaries to test? And my 3rd question for this week is, what would happen if estuaries did not completely flush? Since estuaries are used as recreational areas, would humans have to intervene in order to help the flushing occur? So those are just some things I'd like to know. Thanks!